New relationship energy is that super yummy, delicious feeling that you get when you start to see somebody new. New relationship energy can have a lot of pitfalls. It can hurt people, especially if you're not mindful and careful about the people that you love around you. New relationship energy can also be really awesome for you. It could be a mood booster, it could be a sexual intimacy enhancer. Hey, I'm Jen, host of the Open Bedroom podcast, where you'll find topics of sex, dating, relationships, non-monogamy, and more. I'm glad you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Open Bedroom podcast. I'm your host, Jen, and today we're talking about new relationship energy in ENM relationships and ethically non-monogamous relationships. So the context today is going to be if you are in an open relationship and you are feeling euphoric because a new partner has opened up on the scene, they have entered the scene, and you are feeling all of these yummy, delicious feelings, we are going to be talking about that today. NRE. So, what is new relationship energy? Well, honestly, our bodies create a cocktail of dopamine and phenethylamine. It's called PEA, that come together and make us feel absolute euphoria. We are so excited to have a new person in our life, and we're excited to get their texts, and we're excited to get their phone calls, and we're excited to just be like living life. We're also feeling very sexually connected to this person or sexually curious. We're feeling like nothing in life can go wrong because this new person has entered our life. It feels delicious. I'm assuming everyone listening has felt NRE. And today I want to talk about maybe the dangers to NRE, especially if we're in an open relationship and we have other partners. I also want to talk about the benefits of NRE today. And then lastly, I'm going to close us up with ways to manage NRE because it is a phase. It does cause us to have bad judgment sometimes, and it does have to be managed in an adult way. So let's just dive into the dangers of new relationship energy. Well, the first one is we neglect our existing relationships. So if you're in an open relationship and you have a primary partner, it could be a husband, it could be a wife, you might sort of ignore your partner because it is much more fun to be feeling all these yummy, delicious feelings with someone else. So we want to avoid that. We want to avoid neglecting our children, especially if our children are more teenagers, teenage age, and they don't require so much constant supervision as they did when we were younger. We might find ourselves even choosing this new partner over choosing to be doing things with our kids. We might neglect work. We might ignore clients. We might stop answering our phone. We might forget to invoice our clients. We might space out completely when we're at work and we're just thinking about this new person. We might also make rash decisions. Like I think about like the Elvis in Vegas that marries people, right? Like people go to Vegas and make really rash decisions and get married. You want to be careful that you're not making big life decisions when you're in this stage because everything sounds like a good idea. It's like when you get high and you're like, I should eat all the pizza, like, because calories don't count. Or you're like, and you're being silly because your mind is not being rational. It's the same thing. You have to remember that your mind is behaving a bit like a child and you can't be making any big decisions. You might also ignore red flags, right? Like this person's super XYZ, clingy, they're stealing stuff from your house and you're not even noticing. They're maybe not good at making like not a good decision maker, makes poor life choices, and you just want to ignore that because it feels much better than dealing with the truth. Other dangers to NRE are it can create jealousy in current relationships. It really fuels insecurities with your other partners when you're like so lit up about somebody else or constantly raving about how great sex is with, Johnny, the new partner, or talking about how giant his dick is. Like trying to reel it in a little bit. And this is a good maybe segue to just talk for a second about your partners are not your therapists, right? We don't want to treat our partners as our free therapist. So when you are feeling NRE and you're having these feelings and emotions that you want to process or you want to tell someone, if you don't have a best friend to tell and you're surrounded instead by maybe your partners or husband or wife, or children even, don't go to them with all of these new and exciting things that are happening because it's going to make them feel insecure. It's going to make them wonder if you just want to be with this new person instead of them. The shiny new toy is much more appealing, right? You either want to get a coach or a therapist or, go, like I said, go find a friend that you can have these conversations with and be beamy-eyed and gooey and yummy and silly and distracted, right? So that you have a safe place to be excited that doesn't maybe rock the boat so much of your current relationships. Yeah, it definitely fuels insecurities. I've definitely found that in my own relationships. As we add a new partner or change partners, the current dynamic definitely starts to feel some instability. And people's deepest childhood wounds of abandonment and insecurity flare up. Jealousy flares up. Maybe even like mean girl energy flares up or mean guy energy. So we want to take care to yay, you can feel the NRE, to you need to find somebody to talk to that's not necessarily your partners. And then C, you need to make sure that you're still creating a sense of security and, softness and sweetness with the partners that you do have and maintaining those relationships while you're with this new person. You also want to carefully manage your emotions, right? So this could be feeling so let down because this new person canceled your date, or so incredibly excited because they said, they replied quickly to your text. Like, watch your emotional state for ridiculously, outside of the norm highs and lows that don't allow you to be regulated in your body. And just be mindful, go like, man, it feels really good when they instantly reply to me. And this is probably not going to be forever. That's okay. Like they're just excited, like you look at it a little bit objectively. You also want to make sure in this feeling of creating jealousy with your other partners that you are clearly communicating with them of, I'm still so excited to be with you. Thank you so much for being my partner. I love you so much. I love doing life with you. Yes, it's exciting to go see, Johnny, the new partner, but I also love coming home to you, kind of creating that feeling of safety in their body. Let's talk about the benefits to new relationship energy because I definitely don't want to just shit all over NRE. I mean, NRE is wonderful. Here's some great things that NRE brings to the table. It's mood boosting. I mean, you can't be depressed when you have a brand new partner, right? It's fun and it's exciting. Increase libido. This is a huge one for us. When we bring a new partner into the fold, watching my husband Scott's sexual energy is just like my favorite thing. I love watching him with a new person. I love watching him open and be excited. I love watching him snuggle and be sweet and nurturing to our new person. We had our new partner, India. I can say her name now, so that's exciting. We had India over this weekend for, I'm recording this during Labor Day weekend. And we had her over, and her and I were coloring together. She just does these incredible, like adult coloring book. The one she was doing was like a steampunk energy, and she does these incredible shadings. Like she's really, really good with color and lighting and creating depth. So she has like all these colored pencils that are really nice. And she says to Scott, "Oh no, I forgot my pencil sharpener again." And he was like, "I bought you one." And he hands her this like very high-end nice pencil sharpener. He goes, "This is German engineered, like one of the best on the market." And he took his time and energy and money because he heard her say the last time she was here, "Hey, I keep forgetting my pencil sharpener," and like went and bought her one. So like getting to see him through a different perspective and through kind of the eyes of someone else makes me feel even more love for him as a person and how sweet and loving he is. So it definitely increases our our sex life in terms of like turn on, even with each other, as well as adding another person. Obviously, the turn on is increased because you're having all these sexy new conversations. It also increases, I would say, the number of times that we have sex, the length of our sexual events, and then maybe even like willingness to try new things, you know? You also get to learn some new moves, which is really fun. Another benefit to NRE is emotional closeness, right? Like you want to tell your new person everything, everything about you, and you want to hear all about them. And you're learning all these new things about them, and you're sharing your day, and you're sharing your hopes and dreams for the future. And there's this really nice emotional closeness. It also encourages us to try new experiences. I have a story. So my last husband, Derek, when we were dating, I remember he came up here to Fayetteville where I live, and it was crawfish season. And I'm from New Orleans. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, babe, I would love to get some crawfish." And he was like, "Let's go." I found out later he freaking hates any kind of seafood, but he went and ate crawfish with me. For the first time in his life, he ate crawfish. And I was surprised, right? Now, later on down the line, never in a million years would he ever eat crawfish with me again because he didn't have to, right? He didn't have to try new things or woo me or pretend like he was open-minded and excited about new things in his life. So you have this little pocket of time to expand your capacity for new, to try new things, to get curious, and you want to lean into that. Yeah, this willingness to try new things is fun, right? Like I'm sitting there coloring and I never color. So that was fun. Okay, I want to wrap up this NRE conversation with ways to manage NRE. So I know this sounds like such a downer, right? If you're listening to this and you're in a new relationship and you're feeling all hot and heavy and excited and open and explorative, like you don't want to hear this part. But this is the stuff that's going to keep your relationship healthy long term, going long term, and create some really nice foundation for the relationship that you're trying to build with each other. The first one I would say is we have to create boundaries. I know it's not fun. We don't want boundaries. We want to be little kids in the sandbox, playing and staying together every single day for the rest of our lives and like enveloping ourselves into each other's lives. But the fact is, you want to slowly enter someone's life, right? Especially if you're like me and you're like middle-aged. There's ways that you operate. There's ways that you do your house. There's ways that you load the dishwasher. There's ways that you're cooking and making coffee and like living, being. And the new person that you're bringing into your life is probably very different than you. They're different in the way they keep their house and the way they do their laundry and the way they make decisions and the way that they plan for vacation and how clean they are, right? And you don't want to just like cannonball into the deep end into someone's life. And it's fun and cute at the beginning, right? But then as things move on and your relationship starts to have some depth and some time, those are the things that are going to irritate the fuck out of you, right? So you want to like be gentle and let someone acclimate to you. Create boundaries. I'm going to talk to you about how to create them in just a minute. But we want to create boundaries between, if you have a primary partner, you want to create boundaries for the third person or the additional partners that you are adding into your life with your primary partner. You also want to create boundaries with a new partner. And then any other partners that are involved in your life. This could be a third or a fourth or some sort of a V relationship or a comet partner. Everyone's going to be affected by your new relationship energy. And it's your obligation to create boundaries around that. My favorite way and the easiest way for me is to use a calendar system. So I'll give you real life examples of how this works for us. So when Jess and Scott and I started to date India, which I do have an episode, it's called We're Now in a Quad. If you want to know more of the story of how that happened and how we went from three to four and now we're actually back to two thruples, maybe I'll make an episode on that at some point. But when we first entered into this four humans and some sort of relationship dynamic, the very first thing that I realized was this is a lot of people. And not only are they four individual people, but each one of us has children. Each one of us has jobs. Each one of us has other things going on in life. And I have another partner outside of this squad. So we got to fucking get this shit on the calendar, y'all. So the first thing that I did was I have a throuple group that I'm a part of on Facebook. And I was like, what calendaring systems do you guys use? Because I have four people now to try to manage. And we ended up nailing it down that, Google Calendar really does work the best. You can actually create a sub, like its own calendar. So ours is called like the quad calendar. And it has India and Jess and me and Scott all in it. And then it has pockets of time we're going to be gone for vacation. It has for us, because Scott and I host most of our date nights with our girlfriends. It actually has our kids when we have visitation, like when we have the kids on the calendar. So they know those aren't nights that you can come, those are not available. And then I put on our calendars throuple nights. So like I said, our quad is now two throuples. So we have time with Jess, we have time with India, all three of us, me and Scott and India, and me and Scott and Jess. And then I schedule one-on-one time for me with each girlfriend and Scott with each girlfriend. And then if there's anything extra, then we put that on the calendar. So to me, using a calendaring system, it ensures that like your basic needs as a person are being met, your needs with your primary partner, if you have one, or your person that you are nesting with are met. It ensures that your children's needs are met, and that you can block off what you need to block off to do normal life. And then at the end, you can look and see what days or what pockets you still have available. And if you want to allow another partner to have that time and space or not, it is perfectly healthy and okay to block off nights where you're like, no one is coming over. Like, or I'm having a mental health night myself, like me and Netflix and pizza. That's what's happening. Or, and we haven't had to do this yet, but if I need time with Scott, then I can block that off and say, that's just for me and him. So use a calendaring system to help manage the boundaries that you need to create so that someone isn't just like living in your house all of a sudden. And you're like, whoa. Um, I also think it's important to just be honest if things are feeling too much, or if your new partner is being super clingy, or if things are going too fast and you need to slow things down. That's a good way to manage. And it's a difficult conversation to have, but it's a necessary conversation to have. I would recommend that you don't have this conversation while obviously you're all having sex or afterwards. Like you don't want that sort of emotional energy attached to it. I would recommend that you either do it when everybody is all together and you have a safe space and things are kind of calm and you're like, you know what, this thing happened. I kind of want to talk about it. Another way to do a confrontational conversation like that is to do it in maybe one of the other modes of conversation that you have that allows some space for that person to absorb. I know that several of my partners need space and time to really wrap their minds around something big that I've given them, a big idea, or if I'm feeling hurt, or if I'm asking for something that they might need a little time to marinate on. So ways that we communicate in my two throuples and my people, I use lots of Marco Polo. If you guys have never used the Marco Polo app, I highly recommend it. It is a one-sided video conversation. So I love to Marco Polo in my car when I'm in between momming or like going from Pilates to my house, or I'm on the way to go to the grocery store or do an errand. That's the time that I use to fill the partner needs, partner communication needs. So if I am having an issue, let's just make one of these up. I'm having an issue where a partner's feeling too clingy for me, then I'd probably be in my car. So I have space to just kind of like let it all out and have my thoughts unfold and be unedited. And I would say, like, hey babe, I've been noticing that I'm feeling a bit of a clingy energy from you. Here are some ways that I'm noticing that. Like, I don't know. You are nonstop texting me all day long. Like, I appreciate that you love feeling connected to me, but it gives me a sense of anxiety when I see 20 texts from you during the day. And I just don't have the capacity to be able to respond to you because I have clients or I'm dealing with kids or I'm XYZ things, right? And then you create a boundary around that. Like, I would love if instead you texted me twice a day and it looked like this and it was whatever. Or, hey, I'm noticing that you are sort of moving in, and I'm noticing that you're leaving things all around the house when you leave, like on purpose to sort of kind of move in here. And that's feeling a bit too much, too fast. Again, we're talking in the context of new relationship energy, right? And again, it's a great time to set a boundary and say, like, this wasn't our agreement, right? Like, or this doesn't feel comfortable for me, or I don't want my children to know that there's another person that's here when they're not here. That might feel really uncomfortable and not safe to them. So when you do pack up and leave, I would appreciate if you would go ahead and make sure you grab all your things. And of course, if you leave something, I'll put it in a bag for you or something. And these are all these are difficult things to talk about, but if you're looking at someone and you're thinking, I'm going to have a long-term relationship with this person, you got to have these conversations. You've got to figure out like what feels good for you and for your nervous system, what feels good for your kids and their nervous systems, which are not the same as yours. What feels good for your primary partner? There might be a lot of jealousy, especially if you're not seeing this new person together and you're seeing them one on one. There might be a lot of anxiety from your partner who's like, oh my God, all she does is talk about this new person, and this new person comes over when I'm not here and he's leaving his stuff. And I'm feeling like I'm being overtaken by another person in my own home. Like, there's so many things to really be mindful about. So to wrap this up, new relationship energy is that super yummy, delicious feeling that you get when you start to see somebody new. New relationship energy can have a lot of pitfalls. It can hurt people, especially if you're not mindful and careful about the people that you love around you. New relationship energy can also be really awesome for you. It could be a mood booster, it could be a sexual intimacy enhancer, it could open you up to try new things. And then lastly, we talked about ways to manage NRE so that it doesn't hurt the other people in our life, so that it can feel manageable as you flow through it. Um, Remember, what is that saying? Like the heart grows fonder with time and space, or something to that effect. I think keep that in mind as you want to cannonball together with your hands all intertwined into the deep end and like drink each other's loveliness. Like, I don't even know if that makes sense. You want to eat each other. You want to be one because you're so enamored with this person. Like, try to take a step back and like let it last. You know what I mean? Like, new relationship energy doesn't last forever anyway, but like can you stretch it out? Can you stretch out that energy? Can you go slow? Can you move through it slowly? Can you put some boundaries around it so that it's delicious for longer instead of just one quick cannonball? All right, guys, I'll see you on the next episode of the Open Bedroom Podcast. If you haven't already, please stop, like/follow/write a comment, just depending on whatever platform you're on. It really helps with the analytics and the algorithm, and it allows more people to find conversations like this. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Open Bedroom Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and give us a like and click subscribe below and stay up to date on all the new episodes that we release. If you have a topic that you'd really like more information on, leave us a comment below and we'll see what we can do. Feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and especially your partners. This is a great way to open up some amazing conversations. We'll see you next week.